Hello, fabulous people. I'm sure you're feeling wonderful today because it's been a fantastic week, especially after Tuesday, where the Democrats basically slaughtered the Republican Party. Literally, it was a slaughter fest. It was a bloodbath. It was an annihilation. Like all the synonyms, that's what it was. It was horrific. And before I get into all the wins that the Democrats accumulated on Tuesday, I need to talk about the imposter in the White House real quickly. Now, there is this allegation that's out there, and this is part of the reason why I decided to do a show today as opposed to doing it on Saturday and just incorporating this into the Saturday show. But there is an allegation out there that the reason why Gillespie in Virginia, who was running against Northam in Virginia, who Gillespie got his ass beat, which is just a fact. He lost by 9 percentage points. But there's an allegation out there by the sycophants in Cult 45 that the reason why Gillespie lost is because he did not align himself appropriately with Donald Trump. Now, Donald Trump tweets out that, oh, Gillespie did good, but he didn't really support what I wanted him. He didn't support what I support. So, we still have wins and all that other stuff. Basically throwing Gillespie under the bus right after Gillespie actually loses the election. But the problem with the imposter in the White House and his sycophants like Breitbart and Bannon and all these people who are trying to say that Gillespie basically was a swamp creature. That's what Breitbart's trying to say now. The problem is that Donald Trump actually supported Gillespie, tweeted out multiple tweets basically asking the voters in Virginia to vote for Gillespie. He also made a robocall to the voters in Virginia supporting Gillespie. Now, if he thought that Gillespie didn't actually support his agenda, why in the hell did he go and support Gillespie? In addition to that, why would Bannon be supporting a swamp creature when Bannon was the one who was basically saying that he is going to drain the swamp and he's going to challenge and primary basically all the Senate Republicans who he thought were establishment swamps. So that doesn't make any sense. Really, the truth is the imposter in the White House once again supported a losing candidate, and that candidate got shellacked. Now, another thing too is that Gillespie did align himself with Trumpism. Towards the end of his campaign, he was talking about MS-13 and Confederate monuments and immigration and NFL protests and players taking a knee. He basically embraced the rhetoric of Trumpism without necessarily having Trump right beside him, but he essentially embraced the rhetoric of Trumpism. So the imposter and all of his sycophants are blatantly lying. The truth is Gillespie went as far as he could on Trumpism, aligned himself with Trumpism, spewed the Trumpism rhetoric, and got his ass handed to him. And he didn't just lose by a couple points like people were predicting. He lost by 9 points, okay? The Republican Party literally lost the suburbs. Okay, this is pretty much a Republican stronghold. The Democratic Party legitimately won back more seats than they've won since 1899. Okay, so if there is any question any longer that there is a rebuke of the Republican Party and Trumpism, I think that question has been answered. Whether there is one out there, it's been answered. Let me tell you about the wins. I'm going to read some of these wins. In Virginia, Democrats won the governorship, the lieutenant governorship, the attorney general, and like I said before, the most seats they've won since 1899, which over a century ago. It took them over a century to basically win this many seats. And the reason why is because it's in the age of the imposter in the White House. Then a transgender woman won the seats in the legislature against the man who's pretty much the biggest homophobe, who has introduced so much anti-transgender legislation. She beat him. She ran against him and beat him. There was also a woman who ran in New Jersey, who ran against a man who criticized the Women's March, and she won. New Jersey also. The governorship was won, the lieutenant governorship. In New Jersey, Democrats basically control the legislature. So they basically control all houses of government, all branches of government. St. Paul, it elects its first African-American mayor. Seattle elected an openly gay mayor. And then women and people of color hold majorities on the city council. Maine voted to expand Medicaid. Hoboken elected its first Sikh. Okay, a Sikh, which a lot of these sycophants in Call 45 mistake for a Muslim all the time. But Hoboken elected its first Sikh. Dems also have full control of Washington state now. Mayorships. In Charlotte, the first black woman was elected mayor. St. Petersburg, there was also a Democrat elected. Manchester, a Democrat elected. New York, a Democrat elected. All those mayorships won by Democrats. Democrats also picked up legislative seats in New Hampshire and in Georgia. The Philly DA is a civil rights attorney. Okay, this is a guy who has sued the state and the city for civil rights violation. Obviously a Democrat, also won. There are about 7 other transgender people who won. Asians, Hispanic, African American, women, Democrats all over were winning seats that people thought was not likely. It was legitimately a blue wave. It was an annihilation, and it was a decimation. That's what it was. And even Republicans don't deny it. I'm going to play this clip from Fox News where this is Fox News. This is not me. This is Fox News legitimately talking about what had happened on Tuesday. And this is them basically talking about it was bad for Republicans. Here it is.
Let's bring in Jake Sherman, senior writer for Politico and co-author of Politico's Playbook. The turnout in Virginia was surprisingly high. Is that what provided Democrats the key here?
Well, getting more votes is always a good thing if you want to win. Yes. But I'm finding the analysis of these races to be interesting. You can't make grand pronouncements about the national political mood based on a couple races in a couple states. I will concede that. But in 2009, when Republicans won in New Jersey and Virginia, it was widely accepted that was a commentary, a reaction to President Obama after his first few months of governing. So I think we can make a similar statement about these two races in Virginia and New Jersey. And more concerning for Republicans and Republicans that I've spoken to over the last couple hours is in places like Henrico County, Virginia, which is the wealthy suburbs around Richmond, along a Republican stronghold of where Eric Cantor was from and Dave Bratt of Virginia went Democratic in both the state house and the county level. So this should be concerning to Republicans. If Republicans don't want to be concerned, that's their own issue. But most analysts that I've spoken to this morning say this could be problematic.
Is this a repudiation of President Trump?
I don't know if it's a repudiation. I think you can't ignore some fundamental realities. The president's approval ratings across the board are not great. But listen, it's a long way until 2018. We're a year away from the midterm elections, and we'll see the impact of the president. And if the Republicans could get tax reform through, if they could repeal the health care law, if they could do an infrastructure bill, that they believe those are good things for their prospects in 2018.
We have some polling information out from Virginia about what people were thinking as they went to the polls here. I want to put these numbers up on the screen for you. When people were asked how they're feeling about how President Trump is working, President Trump gets 9% of them excited, 27% say optimistic, pretty much an equal number, 28% say scared. Concerned, and the biggest number overall, 34% is scared. If you're feeling that way about your president nationwide, well, these are Virginia numbers, but doesn't bode well for his political coattails, I suppose.
Okay, that was Fox News. That was not me. So that's not my opinion. That's Fox News. And it wasn't just Fox News that said things like this. Here are some tweets from Republicans. Okay, here's one. It says, it's hard for Republicans to replicate Trump's turnout when Trump isn't on the ticket. It's easy for Democrats to motivate turnout against Trump even when Trump isn't on the ticket. That's a recipe for disaster for the GOP. Okay, that was one. Okay, so here's another Republican. It says, unpopular president plus off-year election plus radically energized opposition and rage they lost last time equals getting your ass kicked. Here's another Republican. Gillespie didn't lose because he didn't embrace Trump. He lost because Trump's approval rating is low and Democrats turned out to vote against Trump. Those are two different Republicans. Here's another. Okay, he says, here's another one. An enormous storm is coming. Democrats are widely motivated to register their hatred for Trump. Moderates are disgusted, and his base is depressed by failure to deliver. Now, everybody knows that I have said numerous times that his base was not vast and that people were overstating his base and that he was actually being rejected by majority of Americans. Now Republicans are starting to realize in droves that this guy is wildly unpopular and they need to do something immediately. Here's another tweet. Okay, it says, you can't really look at tonight's results and conclude that Democrats are anything other than the current favorites to pick up the U.S. House in 2018. Okay. And then here's the last one I'm going to read because there's so many of them from Republicans, but here's the last one I'm going to read. It says, bottom line takeaway from tonight's VA GOP massacre. Get used to the idea of Speaker Nancy Pelosi come January 2019 unless something radical changes. Okay, because the thing is, what Republicans are realizing right now is that they're basically in a lose-lose situation. If they embrace Trumpism, they're going to go down in burning flames. If they don't embrace Trumpism, they're going to lose anyway because Trump's small base won't come out and vote for them. And if they don't get that small base to come out and vote for them, they're going to lose. So trying to balance those two things just isn't working. The truth is, if you are a Republican in Congress right now, you cannot embrace Trumpism. You might as well just leave with your dignity because what it was proven that if you support Trumpism, you'll lose by more than was anticipated. Gillespie, once he started endorsing Trumpism, that was it. It turned off the suburbs. It turned off Republican stronghold voters. Okay? So the thing is, Republicans don't have many options left. And I've been saying this for a long time, but they just don't really have many options. Trump has put them in the worst situation they could possibly be in, which is not my issue because that's what they get for letting an imposter run on their platform. They should have never let him run on their platform. They're going to be suffering the consequences of this decision for decades to come. It's always going to be branded as the party of Trumpism. The 21st century, you allow somebody like this imposter, madman, fraud, bigoted, xenophobic, homophobic, raging lunatic to run on your platform. So therefore, you're going to have to suffer the consequences. And the consequences are deep. As we saw in the Virginia election. The Virginia election was not the only one. What we saw on Tuesday. So after Tuesday, it's pretty clear that Trumpism is rejected by majority of the country, which is something that I am so happy about because I was beginning to question us as a people. Like, what do we legitimately stand for? But if you see the diversity of the people who were elected, that just shows you that the people in this country really believe that we need to represent what this country actually looks like. And they needed to send a message to the rest of the world, too, that, look, we don't accept this guy. This imposter fraud is not who we want as president. So the thing is, Republicans have literally three choices, which I say all the time. You can either force him to resign, which, honestly, you should just do it now. He doesn't want the job, and he's in so much trouble with the Russia situation, the Russia scandal, which is another thing that made people rebel against him. Was it because who wants to have a president that's caught up in possible criminality? I mean, who the hell wants that? And the drama that is associated with that too. And the fact that he didn't win the election fair and square. Now, I'm not saying that votes were changed by voting machines. I don't have proof of that. And I also don't have proof that that isn't true. I just don't have proof either way. But what I can say legitimately and affirmatively is that he didn't win fair and square. We teach our kids to win fair and square and to be good sports and to do it the right way. He cheated and conned his way all the way to the White House. And he got assistance from Russia, which is now evidently clear. Clear as day. So the thing is, he didn't win that fair and square. And if you love democracy, you're going to go out and vote for democracy. And democracy is not on the ballot if it's a Republican candidate. So the thing is, right now, Republicans are in the worst situation. So they can force him to resign. They can impeach him because I think sooner or later there's going to be enough evidence to prove that he actually did commit criminal conduct, at least the obstruction of justice. And then the last one is invoking the 25th Amendment, which I don't understand what they're waiting for. I mean, the thing is, are you going to let him continue to destroy your brand? I mean, your brand is pretty much dead right now, but still, like, the American people have told you, we're not fucking around with you guys. Get this little asshole in check, or we're gone. So really, the Republicans don't really have a choice at this particular point. They have to get rid of him, like I've said for so long. Now, I'm going to be talking more about this because there's some other things that I think I want to talk about that election on my Saturday show. I don't have that much time this week, and that's the reason why I had to wait till today to be able to do another show. But I'm also going to be talking on Saturday about Michael Flynn, what's happening with that, and more legal revelations. I told you guys that Michael Flynn was likely going to get indicted, and it's looking like he's going to be indicted soon. And I didn't know that his son was going to be likely getting indicted too. So I'll talk about that on Saturday. But I have a host of other things that I want to talk about that are going on. New revelations in the Trump-Russia investigation. So it should be a very interesting show. Also, don't forget to check SylviaExpress.com. I've told you guys so many times that Trump is hemorrhaging support. I posted some regrets on Monday. Don't forget to check it, SylviaExpress.com. But my final thoughts on this, that the Democrats have everything to gain and everything to lose at the same time. So I think that the Democrats right now need to be much more strategic. Everything can't just be we hate Trump. That helps because majority of the country clearly is not happy with him. But there has to be a platform and a message, and we need to use that, and we need to ride this wave so we can make sure that we ensure that there's balanced government. We definitely need balanced government. It definitely needs to be more than just one party that rules this country. That's a dictatorship. That's totalitarianism. That's authoritarianism. That is not a democracy. So I'm very proud of Democrats, but I'm even more proud of this country because it was all over the country where people were winning, Democrats were winning, and a diverse coalition of people were winning. And it was clearly a rejection of Trumpism and Republican Party. And if they pass this tax plan, which I'm just going to, if any Republicans listen to that, that's it for them. Goodbye. You're done. It is wildly unpopular. Even the people in the suburbs, they're going to be affected by it. They've already started to leave you and go to the Democratic Party because they are just enraged by the imposter of the White House. So you pass this tax plan. Good luck to the futures of those in the Republican Party. So congratulations to all the wonderful Democrats and all the liberals out there and the progressives and even a Democratic socialist won in Virginia. A socialist won in Virginia. If there has ever been a rebuke of Trump, it is now. It was now. It was a clear message sent to the Republican Party, and if they don't listen to that message, and they don't do something about getting rid of him, then all those people, like all those Republicans were saying, they're doomed. And honestly, that's their problem, not ours.